Hello YouTube, it's Boards Dude, and yes, I am back with a video review, and this is a video review on, of course, Kingdom Inferno. This is a figure I have been really excited to get because I really do need an updated version of Inferno in my collection, and I did have the G1 figure back in the day. And this figure captures a mix of designs, I feel. I think it definitely has a lot of animation inspired in it, but predominantly it looks a lot like his G1 toy counterpart, and that's obviously not a bad thing. What is a bad thing, I feel, and while red is my favourite colour and it's in abundance here, I think there could have been maybe a few paint apps to highlight some of that detail in the sculpt, particularly on the arms there and the legs. It's a shame they didn't do that, but I understand the budgetary requirements you have on figures for mass retail. Things that have been painted, such as that fantastic head sculpt where they have picked out the details on his head crest there and the blue eyes. Now I'm not sure if those eyes are actually painted or if that's a blue plastic, but it looks cool nonetheless. There's no light piping here, so I'm guessing it is paint. Some things do look a bit dull on him, such as the sort of wings on his head crest area. That grey plastic is incredibly dull, but hey, it works for the Inferno mould. The profile of the figure is nice and slim, as you would expect, very much like Grapple. The obvious kibble is, of course, his ladder, but what do you expect? He has to put the ladder somewhere. He is a fire engine, after all. Nothing really fantastic going on at the back there. There's no real gaps, which is a bonus for people who get upset with gaps in their Transformers. But again, you've got to remember this is a retail price point figure for mass retail, so bear that in mind. And yes, he'll look very good when it comes to your figure photography. Speaking of figure photography, let's get on with the articulation. For the articulation on Inferno, his head can move a little bit left and right. It's very hard to move, especially when you've got big Scottish chubby fingers like myself, but it can move if you wish. You can get a full 360 on the arm, but that head crest thing there, the ear wings, whatever you want, will get in the way unless you move them out the way. We do have a shoulder joint, we do have a bicep swivel, we've got a rather high-ish bend at the elbow. The wrist can go in because of transformation. There is a waist swivel. All the joints in my figure are really nice and tight, by the way. Leg articulation, as you would expect, you do get a nice range of it there. There is, of course, a thigh cut. You get a reasonable bend at the knee, and you also get an ankle tilt. So as I've already mentioned, when it comes to your figure photography, and there's loads of talented guys out there that do it with the Transformers figures, there's enough here on this figure to get that articulation need for those fantastic figure foes. For Inferno's accessories, you get quite a few here, although they are very minimal. You get this little hose clip attachment that can be used on the ladder in the alt mode. It just pops off nice and easy. For some reason, these hose pipes were packed separately in the box, but I suppose when they are building these figures, having things that do come with some assembly acquired saves on the production costs. You get his classic black blaster, and a throwback to his Generation 1 toy is this little laser or hose, whatever you would want to call it, the same one that came with Grapple, as well as the blaster to boot. Nice accessories, they won't set the world on fire, but I think they do the job quite nicely. And of course, for size comparisons, here he is with his mould brother Grapple, exactly the same size as you would expect. And of course, the comparison you all want is with Red Alert. Decent size for a Voyager scale figure, I feel, and scales very well with the rest of the War for Cybertron trilogy. We've changed the camera angle, so we now know it's going to be transformation time. First step, take off the hose accessory, flip the arms, or the hands in rather. Yeah, this transformation is exactly the same as Grapple, or more or less anyway. Unplug the arms from the center chest piece. Chest piece, not chest piece. Let's unpack this section here. Plug his ear wings into the ladder mechanism. Port and post. Nice and easy. So far so good. Now What's next? We'll flip and hide the head. Now you can see on this here, I've got a clear defect on mine. It must be the pin not being aligned correctly on this part of the transformation. It does still transform reasonably well, he says, but it's not always going to sit flush, and it's a little bit scary with that tolerance, but there we are, it's now up in place. When it comes to the feet, flip the feet out, push them down, flip the feet out, push them down, make sure everything is sitting flush as you like. What we're going to do next, clip the long mechanism into the post there, and with this part of the transformation they've redesigned these notches that go into the feet so they won't break like they did on Grapple, which is a nice touch, and it shows that they were taking notes from us Transformer fans. Once that's plugged in, we're just going to do the other part of this transformation. Bring this up just a little bit just now. Arms are going to fold in like so. Nice and easy. Once they're in, just give them a little twist so you can see the tab and you can see the port. Just put them in together. We've got two notches here that plug into two ports here in between my bloody camera, happy days, and they just plug in and hold fairly easily. We're going to bring down the ladder, extend it if you want, and add in the hose accessory piece. And there we have Inferno in his alt mode. Very fun and simple transformation, apart from the issue that I have on this section here, but you won't have that issue. It's very unlikely. It's just one of those factory issues that happen now and again. And when Inferno is in his alt mode, you can really tell that this has been retooled from Grapple. And let's be honest, it was like that in the Generation 1 figures. So it's a nice homage, a nice touch. He definitely looks like his Generation 1 toy in alt mode rather than his animation model, but that's fine by me because I absolutely love this alt mode, and they've done enough to make him different from Grapple. I like how they have painted the wheels, although it was clearly obvious that they were black and red paint, but hey ho. The hose attachments there do sort of accentuate the fire engine alt mode, and the ladder extension is a nice touch. Really do like this alt mode, very cool, very Generation 1 homage, and therefore right down my alley. And alt mode size comparison time. Here he is with Grapple and Red Alert, and of course they do scale well together because it's the same mold when it comes to Grapple, and he definitely scales well enough with a car alt mode in the Earthrise or War for Cybertron trilogy line. I'm sure we will eventually get an Earthrise Red Alert or an Earth Mode Red Alert, and that'll look a bit better. But you can see it's definitely the same mold, although I find that Grapple, the detail shows a bit more due to the paint, and I prefer his blue lights than the clear ones that we see on Inferno. But overall, scales as you would expect. Do I recommend Kingdom Inferno? Absolutely, I recommend this figure. Yes, it is indeed just a retool of Grapple that we got in Earthrise, but it's a very clever and obvious retool. The head sculpt is different, they've added additional details on the figure, such as Inferno's classic wing ears, I guess, the additional hose accessory that plugs onto the figure's head sculpt is excellent and gives him that unique design and makes him feel different from Grapple. I absolutely love the paint that they have used. They could have used additional paint apps, I guess, to bring out some of the detail like I did mention, but it's not the end of the world. It's a nice, brilliant mold. The build quality on the figure itself is fantastic. The joints on it are nice and tight and give you excellent poses for the figure. Yeah, I have that issue when it comes to transformation, but that's just been a QC issue. With my copy, you won't have that problem. The transformation itself is nice and fun. It's not stressful and homages the Generation 1 original Inferno mold so well. It's disgusting how the amount of fan service you are receiving on this mold. And I like the alt mode. He does look very much like a crane construction alt mode with a ladder stuck to it, but that doesn't matter. You can tell it's Inferno. The figure blends animation and toy accuracy into one mould and does it really well. It's unapologetically G1, and as it should be, as this figure is aimed at G1ers like myself, and I for one am happy to have this figure. Thank you very much for watching this video review, and I'll see you again soon with another video.